Hello, Galaxy! I'm Chris Pirillo, and you've tuned in for yet another live edition of the LockerGnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short, because you seem to be enjoying the videos I've been producing lately, even though I really never stopped producing the videos that I thought were interesting. This is an AMA, a Q&A with you and me, a chance for you to dictate what it is that I talk about over the course of however long this particular live broadcast is going to be. So you could comment. I'll see your comments. If you want a question answered and you want to rise above everybody else, just click the super chat button that's available on the desktop or on your Android YouTube app. On iOS, you have to use YouTube on the web because unfortunately Google does not make super chat available for everybody cross-platform as easily as I thought they would. You of course can also pop into the Discord chat, which is open 24/7. That's where patrons who support me on patreon.com/Chris Pirillo can be found, as well as those who sub to me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Chris Pirillo. The links for those are in the video description, and I don't know if you can hear Jedi in the background. Yes, Jedi? I am doing a video! The moment I start streaming, like, she doesn't say anything for the past hour, and then the moment I start, then she, like, chimes in, I want to do a video. Well, I'm doing a video right now. I don't know if she can join me. I don't know if she's ready to face the day. So either way, there are plenty of ways that you can support the channel, continue to do what you do, and I will continue to do what I do. I really, really appreciate all the engagement that we've been getting as of late. And of course, you should have turned on notifications, as I warned everybody that I will live stream at random times, including on Monday morning, early-ish on Monday morning, early enough. But I've been up for a while for a few different reasons. Got some tea. It's not tea that necessarily packs a punch, but I enjoy the flavor, so I'm good enough with it. Last night, I opted to install Glass. Not Google Glass. It's a screen protective film. This was sent to me by Zizo? Z-I-Z-O. And wow, maybe I need to put a protector on my protector box. I'm probably going to chuck the box, but it says easy to clean, anti-fingerprint, scratch-resistant, impact dispersion, impact dampening, or damping, is what it says, damping. High strength, zero residue adhesive, and it's clean. It went on better than most screen protectors I've ever used before, so I'm pretty happy with it already. I mean, given that I haven't dropped it, I haven't actually tried it. I don't want to try it. Oh, by the way, there's the notification on iOS, which I don't like notifications on iOS. Telling me that I'm streaming live. Because yes, of course, I turn on notifications for my channel, because that way I know that they're actually working, instead of people saying, it didn't work, but if I see it worked. I don't need to know that I need to tune in live, though, because I'm here. Okay, let's go ahead and run down the questions. We've got the Nether Sleeper saying, hey, Chris, you won't remember me, but I used to be a Nomie back in the day called JR89. Of course I remember you. Thank you. I appreciate you remembering me, too. Everybody's one of the Nomies. You can be a Super Nomie. That's easy to do. Anybody can do that. All right, so let's see what we got. What do you think, asks BabyEats831, about the Huawei Mate 10 Pro? I caught some news about it this morning, but honestly, I have no opinion. You know, there seems to be a new Android device that's released every month, which would be very expensive for me to keep up with. I kind of gotta have to narrow the field. I've certainly been happy with my Nexus 6P from Huawei, and I know that they have certainly the background of creating a nice device. It's not on my radar outright, without any simple way of getting review units, largely through sponsorships. I can't look at everything like up close and in person, and I'm still working through getting devices and trying to get into that entire loop, if only to provide information for everybody. So I had no reaction to it. I saw it, and I'm like, okay. But right now my my sights are set on a Google Pixel XL2. I'm just letting you know. That's where my heart is. You know, for a software experience. There have been plenty of leaks, and I'm not sure how I feel like. Or how I feel about some of those leaks. But as long as it's a good software experience, and maybe, I may have to modify it here and there, you can do that with Android. The one question I have with the Pixel 2 is, can I use the classic Pixel launcher on a Pixel 2? It's still a Pixel phone. So theoretically, I could use the older Pixel launcher, which I like, if I did not want to use the new Pixel launcher. Because I'm not sure how I feel about the new Pixel launcher. There's some nice things about it, and some things that I'm like, I'm not sure how I feel about the search bar on the bottom yet. But there has been the suggestion that an upcoming Google search bar update will allow you to tweak color, shape, not necessarily size, but basically modify its design. I'd love a transparent one, honestly. I'm big into transparency, if it works well. Kamal Al-Din says, same reason you can't purchase Google Movies from any iOS device. Oh, man. But isn't it tied into your Google account? That doesn't make any sense. Like, I can listen to Google Play on my iOS device. I've never really bought anything on Google Play, I guess, on iOS. I can listen to Google Play, music specifically on the desktop using Chrome. It's still a little odd. Rowdy F90 asks a question. Hey, Chris, thoughts on cheap Android phones, budget phones, like 100 to 400? Do they help or hurt the Android experience versus a flagship? Oh. I think they do more to hurt than help. If there was the availability of a super affordable device, like an Android One device, needs to be more affordable. Just a pure Google experience that could be sold for $100. I think, Android would be in a completely different league. Especially if you're talking about values that people would, clamor for. I mean, they may not need the best camera, but, a camera 2-3 generations old may be suitable. They may not need, the fastest this or the best that, but if they could get a decent software experience on older hardware for, $100, $200, I think Android would definitely, it would turn a lot of heads. If only because of the affordability, in stark contrast to the not as affordable trajectory that Apple seems to be going in. Not to fault them for wanting to go to the luxury end of the market. Now we're entering an era of $1,000 flagship smartphones for whatever reason. The Pixel XL2 maybe right around $1,000. The Note 10 from Samsung, or I'm sorry, Note 8. I jumped a couple of generations there. Also around $1,000. The iPhone 8 Plus $1,000, specifically with a 256 gig storage option. And then of course the iPhone 10 beginning at $1,000. So I really would like to see Google better address that side of the market. And Android One seems to be the best bet. If I do anything, I would really like to get a hold of the Moto X4, and I mentioned this in yesterday's TLDR. If only to get a better idea as to is this a solid option as a, let's say, an Android device that you would want to have, or that I would have no problem necessarily recommending over other Android devices or even iPhones, largely based upon the experience that I have with it. And for the most part, I will tell you that's tied largely back into the value that I see in software and execution. All right, so scrolling down. Christopher Drawn, thank you for the super chat. You're the first super chatter of the day, and you say, "Hi, Chris. Hopefully this small amount will go towards your Pixel." It does. It will. I don't know anybody at Google. As far as I know, there's still someone at Google who's specifically there just to harass me. Like, no, I remember what you said about Android way back when. I remember. I remember you. I doubt that person exists, but no, I really do appreciate it. It will definitely be going to feed the resources back to you. So that's the way I've always looked at the business of this for the past 20 years. I don't just acquire something for the sake of acquiring it necessarily. It's usually for a reason. So now for example, I've got Star Wars Radar on Twitter, like 48,000 followers. Also Star Wars Radar on YouTube and Facebook and beyond, Instagram included. I've actually got an unboxing that I'm going to be doing. I have to do this. It may actually be today after this live stream. Funko sent me a huge box, and I think this is a huge box because I have no idea what's inside. It's a mystery box. Keeping my fingers crossed for a few exclusives, but I didn't necessarily get that. It's a gift, and so I'm grateful. But I did get this bobblehead mystery minis. And I got this because I thought it'd be kind of fun to play with, do toy photography with. I'm hoping for Vader for my collection, but then that loops back into Star Wars radar. So what I'm saying is I believe in having a system that basically reinforces the system. And that's a very entrepreneurial way of thinking. So yeah, it will absolutely go to the things that I believe are going to benefit the community, this community certainly at large. And yes, I'm going to continue, because I've been needing to open this for a while, but I'm going to continue to open this box as I read your questions. I got to scroll back to find the question. The super chat jumped me down. Not that I'm complaining, because I'm not. Michael Tristan says, it's totally awesome that he brought back TLDR. Well, we'll see. I think some people missed it more than others, but, it will continue so long as I do get the support from the community, which I felt was lacking eons ago, despite people saying that they missed it. I'm not so sure I saw that in the latter days of TLDR before. Let's see here. Jonathan Sanchez, do you think the iPhone 7, 7 Plus, and Apple Watch Series 2 were filler devices, and they could have presented the 8, 8 Plus, and Series 3 then instead? No, I don't believe so. Oh, cool. Didn't get the Darth Vader that I wanted, but I got a Jawa. That's cool. I was expecting a Vader. No articulation beyond head on these things, but they do bobble. Everybody needs a Jawa. You want it. This is cool. I will be taking a picture of that later. Let's go ahead and set Jawa over here. Does that look good? Yeah. So no, I don't think they were filler devices. I thought that for the time, the iPhone 7 and the 7 Plus were ample flagships. I think it would have been a real dramatic leap if they would have released this hardware, which may not have been ready last year. Specifically last year. So, I think that, Apple doesn't necessarily hold back any more than it needs to hold back. And it's already winning the war, if you call it a war, with the chipsets or effectively its processors and how it's handling silicon. It's unparalleled. In fact, it was a video this morning that I watched. It was fantastic. I think Android Authority published it, talking about how is Apple basically outpacing the rest of the industry by leaps and bounds. Like, they're 2 generations ahead, and it's tied to a lot of reasons that we've talked about before. The Apple controlling the entire experience. Apple's pretty much the only customer, stem to stern, versus every other Android handset manufacturer. They've got to deal with 3, 4, 5 different companies down the line, and each one of them needs to extract its value from the chain, because they're companies driven by profit revenue. So it was and he went on and explained even more, and I'm not doing the video justice. It was fantastic. But basically, Apple doesn't need to push out more than it needs to, and I think I really do believe it's pushing that envelope, because it knows it's just a matter of time before someone's able to catch up with them. What concerns me is not so much that hardware as much as it is specifically the hardware, the software. Sorry, I got distracted for a second. I'll get to that in a bit. And I think that's where it's kind of become a law of diminishing returns, where we're seeing only so much coming back from that much power on mobile. You don't need a faster CPU on the desktop to have a better experience on the desktop anymore. It's even GPUs can go the same direction. It's a law of diminishing returns. You can only get so much out of it in terms of software with the hardware that you throw at it. So I don't believe they held back. I could be wrong. I don't have any insider insight, but they didn't need to hold back. People would have, been happy with that decision then as much as they would be very happy with an iPhone 8 Plus decision today, at least as far as the hardware is concerned. The reason I got distracted is suddenly we got a flood of super chats. So another shout out to Michael Tristan for your emoji, smile, and thumbs up. I do appreciate it. And then Baybeats 831 also did a super chat. I appreciate that. And your questions. Your questions have been really solid, Baybeats. Yasser also did a super chat. He says, I hope you can get your hands on a Galaxy Note 8. I'm working on it, but I did see a shootout, like a camera shootout, a comparison between the Note 8 and the iPhone 8 Plus. And, it's subjective, I suppose, but it did appear that the Note 8 camera may not be as picture perfect as an iPhone 8 Plus camera to my eyes. It's different for you if you see things the way you see things. I still intend on trying to get a hold of a Note 8. Although, like I said, I don't know when, I don't know how, but I'm pursuing many options. And for whatever it's worth, when I do these TLDR live streams, just to loop back with Michael there, I don't have any set time for a reason. Number one, I know people can't tune in all the time, every time, and staggering it throughout the day also helps me stay flexible with my schedule. Kind of keeps everybody on their toes. You could watch it anytime, of course, but, I'm just kind of spreading the love. I believe that I'm inclined to do later night or later evening broadcasts more so than early morning stuff, if only because, people are at work, people are at school. Plus, I can, basically address people who are, not just, awake in the U.S., but potentially also awake overseas. So that's just, an FYI. I got to slide that in there. Even Windang saying, I'm in class, watching you live. Don't do that. Pay attention. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. JJ Johnson says, Vegas shooting. So, I've got my feelings on this, not to get political, but of course it's horrific. I'd say that about any one of these events that play out, certainly across our country, day in and day out. To me, it's a tragic it's a tragic event, whether it's one person who's killed or 50. 50 is obviously 50 magnitudes worse for obvious reasons, but there's a lot of false information that's currently spreading. We got to suss through that. We got to keep a level head, verify sources. But I still go back to my position on this, and there's never a good time to talk about what we can do about gun safety. I don't even want to talk about gun control, right? I want to talk about safety and keeping everybody safe. And it's been seen time and time again that there could be sensible legislation passed that could help us. And I'm not just talking about legal firearm acquisition and ownership, but also illegal acquisition of firearms. I don't want to get political. You asked the question. I'm addressing it. Certainly, I would hope that we could actually decide this time is the last time. Because here's the problem. This time, I can almost guarantee, is not the last time. And I've been saying this for years. I'm like, when is a good time to talk about this? When is it a good time to try to change something like other countries have? After the next senseless, array of deaths? Yeah. There's no way of approaching that topic apart from saying it's a tragedy that can be curbed. Or future tragedies can be curbed. So I understand what people do with thoughts and prayers, but you actually need action to make something happen. Okay. David Stevens says, I can't super chat on iOS. Someone said that you could do it on Safari in the YouTube domain. I don't know. The Mr. Yupsy asked, will the daily vlogs ever return? Doubtful. They were very, very time intensive. I'm not a fan of editing video. We have been, uploading clips. Geek Family Fun is that channel name now. If sometimes I'll post something a little more personal in the Chris Pirillo YouTube channel, but by and large, I'm trying to put most of that stuff, especially with Jedi, into the Geek Family Fun channel outright. Not just some public videos, but also patron-only videos. We do have a geekfamilyfun.com patron campaign that's still active. Bonus videos, things that I might record Jedi doing, like yesterday it was in the park. I was doing a test of the iPhone 4K camera, the front-facing camera, 60 frames per second, and I used iMovie to basically put clips together, and it could export 4K, but it could not export 4K 60 frames per second, despite looking at the settings, specifically with the camera app, knowing that I'm able to, with the iMovie settings, in relation to, I think, the iMovie app directly, you can't actually export 60 frames per second 4K in iMovie right now on mobile. At least the times that I tried yesterday didn't work. So I tried to get like one good solid clip that I could use so I could export it properly. That did not effectively turn out the way that I thought. I was even having problems viewing it on the desktop earlier. So there's something that's still not quite fleshed out with the format of that. I just want to throw that out there because I do want to do a 4K camera test. I hesitate to do the 4K 60 frame per second test specifically with like a video that I might do, like a talking head type of video. But you know, it may be worth doing, or worth talking about if I can figure out the angle. Like, what is the best, you know, camera? What kind of camera would you want to record? What kind of, you know, is the world ready for 4K? Maybe that may be the topic. And in that being I'll talk about, is the world ready for 4K? Are you ready for 4K? Is 4K worth it? And then that video that I'm talking through would also be recorded with the front facing, or the rear facing camera on the iPhone 8 Plus. It'll take some rejiggering, I think, but hopefully it'll work. I'm not sure how well it will work, but we'll see, because you can't do things as easily without full software support across the line of products, and photos didn't even work. Like, you can't watch a 4K 60 frame per second video recorded with the new format on your phone, your iPhone, on the Photos app. It actually says, no, it won't work, but do you want to try opening the video in QuickTime? And in QuickTime, it works. In Photos, it does not. You can't edit it right now in Final Cut Pro because the codecs are lacking, but you can edit it on the desktop in iMovie. So we're still in that, you know, that chasm of support that is challenging. Not that has anything to do with the vlogs, but I just wanted to mention I've done some videos that I'm just trying to figure out who's going to watch them and how, and they were vloggy, recorded. I was testing the camera yesterday in a vloggy capacity. Let's see here. Super Chat is available for you, and you're on Android. Yeah, no, I know it's available on Android. It's iOS that's the question. Earl Green is back, and Earl Green is also one of the long-standing patrons who is also somewhat active in the Discord chat, which now patrons on Patreon can join, as well as the people who sub to me on Twitch. So it's kind of a constant, consistent value, and even on Twitch you could even do it for free. If you have an Amazon Prime account connected to your Twitch account, you can potentially sub to my channel for free and then get access to the Discord chat. Rowdy F90 says, I've been binging on Chris Pirillo content the last few days. Well, I hope to continue to make it. MM says, good to see you back. Never went anywhere. Tony Yoon, question 499. What is your opinion on Professor Jordan Peterson being against gender-neutral pronouns? Do you agree it sets a precedent regarding free speech? I don't know. I guess I haven't looked too far into it. I'm big into gender neutrality, but then again, I'm kind of one who throws stereotypical approaches to male, female, man, woman, girl, boy kind of out the window. I'm a pretty strong advocate in terms of language being used to convey meaning, you know, thought, you know, perspective. But you know, because you know the words that I use are very I say them with intent, but it's specifically with intent from my perspective, maybe not somebody else's. And when I recognize that, you know, saying something a certain way is going to mean something different to somebody else, I certainly am sensitive to that, because you know, if I'm trying to communicate to the other person, the last thing I want is my message to get lost in language that I was not able to use as effectively. So I'm careful about that, but I don't know enough about the idea of gender neutral pronouns. I will check into the Discord disconnect with Twitch, but I can only synchronize it like once a day, and allegedly it happens automatically. Just reading a comment there. Let's see. Is that... Wait, hang on. Man, everything got jumped down big time. It's kind of hard to keep up with chat this way. Will you start doing a Christmas haul? What's the best deal for a Christmas present? Ask Windang. I have no idea. Christmas may be smaller this year. But yeah, usually we will, if only to save those holiday moments for Jedi. I think it'll be fun. R. Bassett Jr. said, I had a 4 gig Moto E for a while, 160 Canadian new. It was a good experience, except the low storage proved to be impractical. The actual plain Android experience was decent, really. I've learned that there's a Facebook Lite and a Messenger Lite for Android, though I don't know how well they work, knowing that those two apps are not amazing. The regular one, or regular ones, I should say. The Facebook app on Android, even on iOS, the Facebook app is VTC Productions' PC, or Mario asked, will these TLDRs be limited time only, or will you go back to Patreon only? I'm fuzzy on that, but as long as people are still enjoying them and appreciating them and liking them, then I'll keep moving forward. It's when those things change that I have to look into change. So right now we're on an upward trajectory, so let's stick with it. Let's make it better. Christopher Drawn asks, hey Chris, do you know where I can get an original cut of Star Wars? Yeah, the Library of Congress. Or you can bootleg it. Those are the only two ways at this point. I don't think the original version of Star Wars is coming back. It should, but I don't think it will. Kirkler asks, what existing technology, hardware-wise, would you add to the current generation of phones? Existing technology? I don't know. That one's hard. I gotta think about that one. There's nothing that I'm like clamoring for. Like it needs to have this. I may have to table that because I'm not sure I can. I'm not sure I can think of something that jumps out unless I've said it recently and I'm blanking on it. Like I said at the beginning, the green tea doesn't really pack a punch, but I do like the flavor. Let's see here. Kenobi 53. Have you seen the new Star Wars Black Series Force Ghost Obi-Wan Walgreens exclusive, and are you going to be getting it? No, I have seen it, yes. No, I'm not going to be getting it, because I already have it. So, the box that I found was not a great box, though, and I'm going to be trading somebody for a better box. Allegedly, I haven't seen it, but I'm going to be meeting with them soon. Yeah, I pretty much, when it comes to those figures, these types of action figures, I will chase down exclusives. But I don't necessarily pay top dollar. Like, here's a Finn that I got for, you can see, $3. Haven't opened it yet. I have it on the desk to open it. This makes TLDR fun for you because I get to answer your questions, and it makes it fun for me because I get to open Star Wars figures. And I use gift cards too for the Star Wars stuff that I get. I use a lot of gift cards that I earn courtesy of go.tagjag.com/free apps and go.tagjag.com/free points. Usable on both iOS and Android. Take a look here. Sometimes I have to scroll through regular comments, which are great to get to solid questions. Kenobi 53 said that the only way to get an original cut of Star Wars is to get the VHS tape. I do have that VHS tape. I suppose that is another way of getting it. But to see the original pure, clean, like, everything, you've got to go to the Library of Congress, effectively, or get a bootleg. Thoughts on the Nintendo Switch, asks Jung Yuski. Haven't really talked about it extensively. It's interesting. I'm not necessarily someone who's chased it down, but we don't do a lot of gaming around here. That may very well change as Jedi gets older. I want to expose her to a number of platforms when she's ready. Xbox, PS4, whatever the Nintendo's doing, classic consoles. I want to immerse her in gaming more than anything. And I'm saying that not even being a gamer myself, feeling like I'm a gamer. I just know how important it is to the culture, as we're moving forward, pop culture. I mean, it's all gaming. So I want to be able to enable her to, enjoy and play and learn, and improve her own, critical thinking skills with certain types of games or, any other kind of skills, including socializing skills and playing games with other people. Sometimes you got to watch out for kids who lack an emotional maturity. You have to watch out also for adults who lack it. And trust me, there are more of those than you can imagine. Let's see here. I know I'm saying that every time I turn to the computer here to scroll through the list of comments. Louis Patino asks, have you ever tried getting into the merchandise game, Chris Pirillo shirts? I have over time, but no one ever buys anything I make. We even tried this pixel art series that we were going to do, and nobody wanted it. I'm like, maybe, when we hit critical mass, like, suddenly, in 2 decades, when I'm about dead, I reach 1 million subs on YouTube, and, hey, can we have a Chris Pirillo shirt? Then it'll be the old decrepit Chris Pirillo at that point. So I've tried it in the past, but I'm not inclined to get into that again. If I did, it would be a style, like the pixel art stuff. I'm a huge fan of pixel art. Huge fan. Rowdy F90 asks, and I'm going in order again. the next question. Hey Chris, if the Pixel 2 was not an option, any other Android such as LG V30 is an option. I prefer stock Android, but for me, LG software is the greatest, but their hardware. Uh, I don't know if I would have a second place beyond the Pixel or Pixel 2. I would even probably be happier with a Pixel 1. LG does a pretty decent job in terms of how it modifies Android. I've found that its software experience was a little better than TouchWiz. And speaking of bad experience, super articulated figures are impossible to balance. I was going to try to stand up Finn, but he's not. Okay, he wants to stand there, but not here. Okay, there we go. But we also have another super chat that just popped in from Tony Yoon for question 500. This is fitting. Have you thought beyond the iPhone 10? What's next? An iPhone 9 with the same form factor, or will they fade away the old design? My fear is that it's Apple's new direction. They've so much said it. I don't know. I'm trying not to think beyond it because I can't. I can't speculate what it's going to be. I can't speculate how people are going to react. I fear that maybe the next generation we're going to see a classic style iPhone screen, but then moving forward past this, next year, I think, it's going to become a huge question mark. Now, when iOS cleans up its act, and when Apple effectively cleans up its hardware design, compared to the big black nipple that's on the iPhone 10, which sounds a little nicer than the notch, honestly. Notch is not as accurate. I think I want to call it it's a big black nipple. It's an intrusion into the software, and the software suffers for it. The experience suffers for it. I don't know what's next. I really don't. I haven't thought beyond it apart from knowing eventually we'll have bezel-less touchscreen devices. It's an eventuality. It's a question of when it's going to get here, not even who's going to do it. It's when it's going to get here. That's a matter of time, and then where we go beyond that. And I do believe wearables are where it will be, but I think it's going to be more like this kind of wearable more than this kind of wearable. And speaking of wearable, maybe y'all can help. I'm just looking for a pure Android clean, Android Wear 2.0 experience that could potentially replace or be compared suitably against an Apple Watch. This is a Series 1 Apple Watch. I keep looking for like a screen like this, this nice little rounded corner screen, clean software, and I haven't found one. If anybody knows of one, let me know. Like one person shared theirs, and it had the brand like slapped across the top of the watch. I'm like, yeah, no. Like if it was Star Wars, even maybe. But at least I can change my shirt, right? Today, it's obviously not Star Wars. I'm getting in the holiday spirit. It is a holiday, Halloween. So I'm wearing this GPK, Gretchen Regan. I met the woman who played this character in real life too, from The Exorcist, eons ago. So no, I have not thought beyond the iPhone 10, at least not much. And then to go loop back with what Rowdy was asking, if Pixel wasn't there, I'd look for the best Android experience, like in terms of the most responsive Android experience. If I went that far, honestly, I will tell you, it's kind of like the days of Windows Vista to me, where I felt so much pain with what Microsoft was doing with Windows, but it wasn't like I saw that there was a viable alternative. There were a few things that needed to happen for me to effectively, embrace the change, even though I was very resistant to it. The first thing was, of course, Windows Vista. Microsoft hurt themselves. The second thing, I think it was Tiger, that I was really compelled to use a laptop, a MacBook with Tiger, and then Leopard. I think it was Leopard's release that ultimately swayed me. And then the third thing that happened right around that time frame, Tiger, Leopard, Mac OS, or I guess Apple embraced Intel as the platform, which made compatibility a possibility. So I had that buffer. So like three things needed to happen for it to kind of move me forward. I don't see the same kind of problems in terms of iOS versus Android, but it's still kind of very reminiscent of that feeling, and I would look for not so much the value in the hardware, but specifically in the software experience. Let's see here. Scrolling. A lot of comments. Not a lot of questions here that I can see up front. Martin Mine asks, will you bring back the 24/7 stream of your office? I will not. People have asked about that, but I'm like, there's no way, dude. Privacy being a thing. Like, in the later days of the 24/7 stream, that became an issue. I was always on mute because I'm just like, I've got things I gotta do. I can't do the camera paying attention thing, and I can't do this at the same time. It became an issue. And now with, a 2-year-old, or I'm sorry, 3-year-old, a 3-nager, I really got to watch what's going on. So it's probably never going to return. The best we can do, really, is this type of a live stream. Got another super chat that came in. Sarah's Gabri, and by the way, Sarah, thank you for, if that's your name, Sarah's. I've seen your username before, I just don't know. Thinking about leaving the iPhone 7, and again, this is a super chat. I'm sorry, thinking about leaving iPhone 7 Plus for a new Note, so that would be the Samsung Note 8. Left Note 4, which I loved, that was the last Note that I had, for the iPhone 6 Plus, but the i7 iOS is just glitching like crazy. Is the 8 Plus worth sticking around for? Let's see here. So you're on the 7 Plus. I just did I kind of did a video about this, like, is the iPhone 7 worth upgrading? I can't remember what I've titled it, but I think I recently talked about this. Is it worth it? Yeah, actually, I did. I think it was my 1-week review of the iPhone 7, or I'm sorry, the iPhone 8 Plus last week, right before the weekend. I don't know if I have the answer to that, because it's different for everybody. But I also don't have a Note 8, so I can't tell you definitively what it is you're looking for. You have to. What I need to know from you, and feel free to qualify it with a comment here. What is it that you are looking for specifically? I mean, obviously, it's a non-issue for you to switch. Why did you love the Note? Why? And if it was because of the software, then I think Samsung has only done better. And in terms of software, I think there's a lot more software packed into a Note 8 than an iPhone 8 Plus. I can't speak to speed. I can't speak to camera features. I can't speak to anything else. If you enjoyed the stylus and you missed that, then yeah, it's obvious. It's a Note 8 or nothing. So it really depends, on what is compelling you to even look at, the alternative. What's compelling you to effectively take a look. Let's see here. Scrolling back up. Baby Eats 831. Have you considered doing a what I eat in a day? Now that you're a whole food plant-based person. Also, Dr. McDougall, that was the name I was looking for the other day. That's right, and I thought about it too. It is Dr. McDougall. You are correct. I've thought about it, but I'm like, not interested. It's just kind of boring, honestly. Fruits and veggies by and large. It's routine. Alright. Down. Infinity Games asks, Chris, do you think Android will adopt SMS in Allo? I don't know what the hell they're doing. Honestly, they've got I had a comment reply in today's video. Google has 5 different messaging apps, which I've talked about before. It's an issue. I wish they would consolidate in a more intelligent capacity. It seems that Allo is going to be their pursuit for messaging, but here's the thing: Allo is currently available on the web, currently available across platform, as opposed to Messages, which supports a newer SMS type of protocol for richer SMSs, so long as your carrier supports it. I would like to see more compatibility in that sense, so that you can switch from, let's say, your messaging app to another. I think it's feasible that in the future Allo would support it and become that default messenger app. I think that's a matter of time, but I don't know. I wish they would. But even Apple, to kind of loop back on this point, even Apple has that kind of, I'm not going to say issue, but Apple has several messaging apps as well. They got iMessage, they got FaceTime, they got Phone, but there's really no confusion in terms of I need to message someone, where do I go on an iOS device, versus I need to message someone, where do I go on my Android device? Well, do I use Allo? Do I use what is it, Android Messages? Because they couldn't call it Messenger, because Messenger is now synonymous with Facebook. Yeah. And I am curious, by the way, I mentioned a Facebook Lite and Messenger Lite. I'm curious if anybody out there has had experiences with either one of those on Android. Louis Patino asks, how many views per video would be needed to earn a living and do the projects you want to do? Can you break down the business game in a short, condensed answer? When am I ever going to give you a short, condensed answer? Twitter. So I can't give you a short answer. I don't know if it boils down to views for me. It's not a... Here's the thing. Because right now I'm streaming live to 58 people. If I do it in the evening, it would be streaming out to 100 people. But I've got super chat messages coming in. So in terms of what would come in, it's largely based on the quality of your audience, not so much quantity of your audience. It doesn't work that way necessarily with ads, although you're dealing with different values of ads and locations. But I'm very careful. I'm hesitant to answer this outright because I don't know if it's a definitive answer. I believe in managing several projects. So yes, I've got content online. I'm a part of a startup which has been moving very slowly, but is about to really start kicking into high gear. That would leverage my experience as a content creator to help other content creators. I've got Galaxar, the second one we're doing this year, coming up in another few weeks here in the Seattle area, which is more for pop culture collectibles. It's a marketplace, which I just would love to go to an event like it, so I produced it. I've got Creator Advocate, which is more for enabling creators and helping them better understand how the business of content might work. Potentially doing another summit for that next year. So I'm spinning many plates. It's not just about spinning one plate. That's the direction that I've chosen to go because I would much rather help others than just do it just for my own needs. So but that's a different career path. But it's never boiled down to the number of views per video because you're concentrating on the wrong number. That's the wrong metric. It's never been about chasing that kind of that kind of count because a lot of those people are there and gone. Fans typically are forever, but followers are fickle. Marcos Gibson 007 asks, Chris, will you get Star Wars Battlefront 2? Yes. And Michael Tristan also asks, Chris, I have Apple Watch Series 3 LTE. Do you have and then it got cut off. I have the Series 1. I have no intention on getting the new Series 1. David Stevens apparently got something to work. He says, well, hey, Chris. He did a super chat. No question there, but he says, hey, Chris. So it must work. The iOS super chat from from your iOS YouTube. Okay, open up Safari on iOS. Watch this live stream video on YouTube in Safari, and then you can super chat. Hang on. Yes. She says she's eating. Eating a... Oh! I'm eating a... And then mumbled something and ran off. Boom, 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 boom. I'm telling you, life with a 3-year-old. It is fun. Earl Green did a super chat. Nice to see you again. What? Oh, nice. She's eating popcorn. Just to clarify it so everybody knows what she's eating. She's eating popcorn. Earl Green did buy one of my pixel art shirts back in the day. I think you were the other one. I think Chris Miller was the only other person who bought that shirt. I still have the pixelated coffee shirt too. I would totally launch a line of pixel art products if I knew that there was an audience for them. And it starts with building that base. We'll get there eventually, but it's currently not a focus. Let's see here. Zach Dez says, I remember you, Zach. Holy crap, I haven't seen a Chris Pirillo video in ages. I'm subscribed, but I'm so confused why they don't come up in my sub box. Welcome to hell, in being subbed to somebody and not seeing what you want to see. So, 2 things you can do right now. 1, follow me across social, which I don't necessarily recommend. 2, turn on notifications. Click the little bell. And that's an almost guarantee right now that you're going to get a notification when I post a video, whether I stream it live in this channel, primarily set up for very long form live stream videos, or the Chris Pirillo YouTube channel, which I'm probably, as much as I don't know if this is what I feel I would want to do, technology topics, specifically ones that get me, riled up or interested, that's probably going to be the Chris Pirillo channel, despite, everything else. Though, I will also throw in Star Wars. I will also throw in retro. You're going to get the Chris Pirillo experience. It's going to happen. So good to see you, Zach. Couple other super chats. Water Cool Fool says, "What do you think of Apple adapter that costs around $35 so you can charge the phone and use a headphone jack?" So I wish it came with the device. I mean, I know other devices do, but Apple makes a lot of money in hardware. So if it can make that much more money, and people are, dude, if you're willing to spend $1,000 on a flagship phone, Apple knows they got you. They got you by the dongle. You know, they know. I'm like, well, these people are willing to spend $1,200 on a phone. What's another $35? What's another $65? Just make them pay for it. Why would we give it to them? That I'm just telling you, I can't fault Apple for that. The wrong price is the price that you're not willing to pay, and people will be willing to pay it. It's just like, to me, and I've mentioned this over and over again, the people who complain about $5 apps, like, I'm not gonna pay $5 for an app. Like, dude, you just spent hundreds of dollars on a phone that will run apps, and you're afraid of spending $5 on an app? It kills me. It really does. It kills me. You know, if you want something, pay for it. But that's not in relation to Super Chat. I'm just saying, like, I don't fault Apple for doing it. I wish they didn't do it. Because I think it's something that should come with the device outright. I don't think these should be add-ons. I think they should become a part of that device experience. Apple's making money, but they would make less money if they bundled everything together. Apple makes money with hardware. So I have a concern about it. All the more reason I'm not going to chase down, because I even considered in the first few days of the iPhone 8 Plus getting Apple's fast charging adapter system, and then I thought, I'm like, well, but I'm using the Mophie solution, which is wireless. It's inductive charging, not really wireless per se. But I'm going to wait until Mophie updates their fast charging plate, and I'm going to be done with it. Mophie's served me well enough to this point, and I expect it will continue to serve me well over time. So yeah, that's how I feel. Another super chat, David Stevens. What happened to monthly hangouts? I would totally be a patron for that coolness. It just became a matter of time, in terms of time spent with them, as well as what we were able to do within hangouts. Not that I mind it necessarily, but the problem sometimes is that I'll keep talking, and then it'll go from an hour to 2 hours to 3 hours, or someone else will keep talking, and then you just never know where it's going to go. So I think I have it at a certain, like, a higher pledge level, because it's just the time that it takes, and the value that I think that is potentially extracted from it. Maybe at some point in the future, if I can figure out how to work it into things, it'll make a comeback. But I'm always kind of experimenting to see what works well right now, or what may work well, and if it doesn't work well, then I have to shelve it and I have to try something different. R. Bassett Jr. comes in with a super chat. What do you still do with your desktop? That's a great question. Edit videos in Final Cut Pro if I need to, though not as much as I used to. I'm inclined that when this thing goes belly up, this iMac, I'm probably done with these classic desktops. Despite their power, I'd probably move primarily to a more mobile system, which has been ample. Having everything in one as opposed to a desktop, which is nice. It's nice to have a big screen. I watch social on my desktop, and when I say desktop, it's not just this system; it's also the mobile system. Let's see here, what else? I wouldn't even say a lot of photo editing as much as I used to. Because now the mobile apps are definitely stellar. Like yesterday's thumbnail for the Chris Pirillo video where I was talking about iOS 11 versus Android Oreo, that photo was basically, I just screenshot a still shot on the phone, and then I opened Pixelmator and then just did some fudging around with fonts. It could have been better, but I just wanted something quick and dirty, and it worked. I was very happy with the outcome of that. There have been things that I've needed to have like more intense, on the desktop, where I'm doing more management with layers and moving things around. But by and large, it's relegated to more time intensive tasks versus mobile. So time intensive, a lot of writing, a lot of reading, a lot of, in terms of reading, like scrolling social. I could get along without a desktop, this type of desktop. I don't know if I could completely get along with that without at least a desktop class type of system. But I'm looking at maybe this will last another, forever, I think. This is probably good for another, I think, 4 generations here. And then, it'll get sold, most likely. But the notebook computer may not last. I mean, it just depends how long it's going to last. But I've seen no compelling reason to upgrade either one of these things, just because of my use case and specifically the value that I've extracted from them. Maxobat asks, The Last Jedi is the longest Star Wars movie? It is? This is a super chat, by the way. Thank you, Maxobat. I didn't know that. I think there has been a screen run time. Is that what they say? I have not seen it yet, like in terms of how long it's going to be. But if it's the longest, I'm happy. I wish The Force Awakens was longer. I wish any Star Wars movie was longer than it actually was. That's my opinion, though. There are different opinions out there, that's for sure. Let's see if I can remember my place here in regular chat. I don't know if it is, but if it is, yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm curious to know how The Last Jedi is going to play out. I'm excited. I will watch the next trailer. If I do a reaction, it will probably, I say this sadly, it will probably sadly go in my Star Wars Radar channel because it's Star Wars primarily. I've typically done those in the past on the Chris Pirillo channel, but I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. Gonna keep... Boy, if I miss anybody's question that was in order, I apologize. But I'm now kind of scrolling through. Jonathan Moffat says, as far as I'm aware, Chris, the OnePlus 5 has been praised a lot for the touch responsiveness and lack of jank and stock experience similar to the Pixel, possibly let down by its camera. So, Jonathan, who was it that asked earlier which one would I go to if it wasn't the Pixel? Was it Michael Tristan? No. It was someone asked. I apologize for missing the name. But OnePlus may be a viable alternative. The camera is like... But I also... I believe there's scuttlebutt suggesting that the the OnePlus 6? The next OnePlus is coming out like not long after the beginning of the year. So... that would be a device I'd probably chase down for the software experience in some way. I would figure out a way. I'm like, how can I get this done? I'm looking to solve these problems, not just for one device, but for every device moving forward. How can I work it out such that it will work out? I've got a call later this week with somebody that I'd like to try to angle for. Like, okay, is this a way that we could do it that could help you, help me, help them, help everybody in the entire line of proposition? I've got an idea. I've got an idea about how to make this work. We will see. But that's what it is. I am curious to know about OnePlus. If the camera improves, then it becomes a viable contender. So the next OnePlus will probably be on my radar. The current one, probably not so much. The James 1576 just came in with a super chat. Thank you so much. If you do have a question, please let me know. We are coming close to about an hour, about 10 minutes or so left. Scrolling back, looking for other questions. Again, if I missed anything, I do apologize. Mohammed Honzi asks, Hi, I want to know why Google did not take the next step and bring Android to the desktop. Does Google know that Windows cannot be beaten in the desktop area? I think they're taking a different strategy with that, like specifically the Chromebook. The Chromebook is every bit a PC as a PC. It may not be able to do as much as a desktop in the sense of a Windows desktop or, let's say, a Mac OS desktop, but it's ample. I mean, the Chromebook is selling well, not just because of cost, but just because it's a good system. I will be interested in seeing what's going to happen with the Pixelbook. Absolutely, straight up. Zero doubt in my mind, if they're taking it seriously. But it's still not a desktop replacement. Outright. I mean, there are certain things that it just can't do because the software doesn't necessarily exist outright. I think Google can and should go that direction. I would go as far as to say one of the killer apps for Google would be maybe not a web-based system, but a video editor on Android or Chrome or Fuchsia or whatever their future experience is going to be. We'll see how that plays out, but I'm definitely watching with great interest. But for a lot of people, their desktop experience doesn't need to be as typical as somebody else's desktop experience. Stephen Osorio asks, Chris, are you excited about the Google Pixel 2 XL to be announced on Wednesday, October 4th? Yes, I am. Mr. Bariqua 2000 asks, what's your opinion about VR and which VR headset do you recommend? I don't have a recommendation because I don't do a lot of VR. I certainly can't do it on mobile because I have motion sickness. So if the screens don't run in parallel at like 90 hertz, I get really, really bad headaches and nauseated and everything. So I don't have a go-to experience. I don't use VR. Right now it's still within the realm of edge cases and usability snags. I'm just not. I'm not compelled to dive into VR at this point. That will change, I'm sure, at some point in the future. But right now, I'm like, eh. Baby 831 said, it would be cool to see you do a live commentary on Wednesday's Google event. Your authenticity, truly refreshing. Well, I'm not saying I'm always right, but at least I'm being authentic. At least I'm giving you me, what I'm thinking, which is the only thing I got. That's what I have. That's my value in this chain. The thing about that, though, it will likely, that live stream, as much as I'm doing TLDR primarily now in this YouTube channel, the Chris Pirillo YouTube channel is probably going to play host to the Google stream. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you got notifications turned on. I think it starts 9 a.m. Pacific time on Wednesday. So I'll do it like I've done the others. I'll put on headphones, plug them in with a headphone jack, and listen to the Google stream, and then provide live commentary underneath it. And, of course, chat will be going on. I'll be able to watch super chats and everything. In fact, that would be an interesting... I don't think we could get enough super chatters, because I'm going to have to pay for the Google Pixel. I have a feeling. It's just... I don't think I'm going to find a way of doing it otherwise. It'd be interesting to get enough super chatters to basically get the Google Pixel. I don't think that's going to happen. That's an awful big ask. Emmanuel Acosta says, we have so many years using Bluetooth. What do you think the future of Bluetooth is? What needs to be improved, and which technology you think can replace it? I don't think there's a technology that can replace it. I think Bluetooth has been fantastic. It's certainly evolved over time. I think a much more seamless experience, and it does get better. Like with its iterative improvements. I think becoming more seamless is the direction. Not to say that it hasn't been seamless to this point. Increasing the responsiveness, increasing the manageability of it to become a bit more predictive in terms of when we want to use it, when we don't want to use it. For example, I don't like connecting my car to Bluetooth, even though I have Bluetooth in the car. I'd rather listen to the music streaming on my phone than the car system. But at the same time, sometimes I don't want to use Bluetooth because I need to use Bluetooth for something else. I need to use it for the onboard mic on the phone, and I can't because it's still connected to the car, so I have to turn off Bluetooth. So I wish it was a little more intelligent in terms of allowing for switching and management of that kind of thing. And certainly other improvements, on down the line. I don't know what technology, if I can think of any, could replace it. But anything that effectively improves the experience. The problem with replacing Bluetooth at this point is like replacing Wi-Fi at this point. It's a challenge because the infrastructure is built out. Like you can't just buy a device that's a wireless speaker, let's say, that it is not Bluetooth enabled. Like it's going to have Bluetooth. Like I would be shocked if it didn't. And even if there was something that was better on the horizon, you'd still have to maintain some type of compatibility to bring people along. This is the difficult part about the saturation of technology, right? With adoption being what it is, you want something to be popular, a protocol to be popular, but when it gets so popular, sometimes it can be an impedance to progress. So it's a solid question. It's a very solid question. Scrolling down. I bought the Mophie pad, says Corey Moore, and it seemingly makes my phone slow after charging. It makes your phone slow, Corey? That's shocking. I've never experienced that. It may not charge as quickly as another adapter, but I usually use it when I'm in the car because hands-free display, hands-free car driving smartphone thing, and then at night when it just recharges everything overnight, and then I pick it up and I'm ready to go for the day. I can get through the day. Like I'm still, even though I haven't necessarily plugged in, I've been doing a lot with my phone, but in conjunction with the battery, I've got 2 little chiclets left on the battery and then at 100% on the phone itself. So I'm going to be charging it again, but I could get through the entire day. Haven't run into the same problem you have, I guess, Corey. Time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions, including a super chat that just came in. David Stevens says, do you think Apple is pricing themselves out of a demographic they once had? I spoke to this at length with the iPhone 10. Is it too expensive video? So I'm not going to wax pathetic, about that again. But I'd say yes and no. I mean, they've still got their older iOS devices that they're still selling. People are still buying them. And so they're not, outpricing themselves. In terms of the value, though, I think they are being outpaced in terms of the value of what you get. You can have a decent iPhone experience actually on an older iPhone, believe it or not. And this is where it'll get very interesting in terms of Google's Android One strategy if they really nail it. And I don't think they did. I don't think they have. I don't think it should have been called the Moto X4. I think it should have been called Android One. Like, I know that's the program, but like it should be called something that's definitively Google. Because that's, people know Google. They don't know Motorola, or they don't know Moto as much as they know Google. And I think that Google should, like what they're doing with the Pixel line. So they should call, you've got the Pixel right now, but I would say Pixel Pro XL, and then just the regular Pixel. And the Pixel should be that basic baseline Android One experience. I think that's the way to do it. And they would hand Apple their hat, I think, in terms of the marketplace. I could be wrong, but that's my feeling. Emmanuel Acosta, good to see you again, so soon. Doing another super chat here. How can we get you a Pixel? Okay. Thank you for the super chats. That's one way. You could also sub to me on Twitch and get access to the chat room. I'm going to do that synchronization, or try it manually on my end here after the broadcast. That's another way. You can head over to patreon.com/Chris Pirillo. Sign up to be a patron. You could also get access to the chat room there, as well as bonuses and features that I might throw out, like things that I'm working ahead of time on, which I haven't had a lot of time with. I mean, the video that I turned around last night was done last night. I've got to record today's video. I don't even know what video I'm going to do today outright. And it may end up being talking about 4K in doing the example footage on the phone. But I haven't been able to work ahead because of the news cycle and the way it's happened. Continuing to support me in whatever way you see fit. If you have YouTube Red and you watch the videos, that helps. Of course, watching videos and providing attention does help. I mean, you do what you do, in whatever way that you see fit. And I said that with the vlog for a number of years. I know we do have a lot of questions here outright, but they're going to have to get tabled until tomorrow's TLDR. I do intend on streaming again. It may work out better for everybody at a different time, but like I said, I'm still kind of working through these scenarios to see what works best for everybody, and one thing doesn't work best for all. So thank you again for your time, your attention, the super chats, your support, and whatever ways that you're providing support. I'm going to go ahead and move on with my day and get to recording the other video I need to record for the Chris Pirillo YouTube channel. Turn on notifications. I love you. I appreciate you. And may the Force be with you.